KWT slaying.
Salama family, salama, how y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. So I feel sometimes I need to give a caveat. The opinions expressed are solely those of Yakoba of Tail Ministries and not necessarily those of his guests, so on, or the Israelite community. I always say it's my opinion. And everyone has to form their own opinion from the evidence. The way that I see prophecy is from the accumulation of evidence and prophetic fulfillment. And so when I see things that have been prophesied all coming together at one time, I'm like, okay, well, I see the birth of a baby near. When them contractions get real close, I say the baby's near. But I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you that the baby's actually coming, but them contractions, you can feel them. You put your hand on your wife's stomach and you feel them contractions, that baby coming. But we're all see through a glass darkly, so I don't never claim to be the arbiter of what's correct and the arbiter of truth, and I don't have to be right on everything I teach and everything I say. Because obviously I'm a human being. And because I'm a human being, I can make mistakes, but I could tell you one thing. I tell you how I see it. And I would have to say myself, I have a decent track record. I'm not trying to blow my horn, but I have a decent track record. Because, as I was saying, for those of you who saw me on Sister E last night, I was saying about how I see things happening. We all got different opinions. And we all going to disagree on things. But I don't think we have much time left here. I don't think Babylon has much time here. And I think everything that we have been saying, everything we have been teaching is going to be vindicated. Now, some people are going to take that as Yakoba just saying, I told you so. You can take it that way. But I'm putting it more in terms of the vindication of the Israelite community and what we have said and about the awakening and about our returning back to the land. I don't think we have much time left. This is my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe we got another year, 2 years, 3 years, 4, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe, right? I don't think so. That's my opinion. I don't think we have months. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if we have days. But it's the accumulation of prophecies, it's the accumulation of evidence that prophecy is being fulfilled. And so a lot of us ignore certain things because we don't like it. Put your fingers in your ear. I don't want to hear it. You mean I might have to suffer through? Maybe. You mean I might have to stand on my faith? Maybe. You mean I might get persecuted for righteousness' sake? Maybe. You mean these Gentiles might try to take me out? Maybe. Y'all saw the other video where I showed them talking about assassinations and all this stuff for black folks, right? If you saw that, give me a 1. If you didn't, give me a 2. But see, all of these things are prophetic fulfillments. And remember when I told you when this whole thing started, even most people don't see it. I got to get this time on my screen worked out. But most people don't see it, is that this war, even in Ukraine, is all about us. I'm telling you that everything's about us, and it's about Africa. And what the Bible says, the whole world would hate us, right? They do. But their judgment is here. Now, because their judgment is here, what do you think the Gentiles are going to do? Right? Our oppressors. What do you think our oppressors are going to do? What do you think the ones who hate us are going to do? What do you think their plans are for us? So today I'm going to talk about prophecy and fulfillments of prophecy, and as I did the video before, the crescendo, right? We're really reaching the epic point of, in my opinion, our Exodus. This is my opinion. Now, as I said before, I have a different view on the Exodus. I believe we who are in Babylon are going to flee. And sometime after we flee is what we call the greater Exodus. This is what I see. This is how I see it. You don't have to agree with me, right? The opinions expressed here are solely those of the author. But understand this, with the events that are happening now, I can't imagine us going another year or two, be honest with you. But this is accumulation of evidence, and everyone isn't looking at everything that I'm looking at, right? So because you're not looking at everything I'm looking at, a lot of y'all don't know where I'm coming from. I see things as an aggregate whole, not as individual pieces. And I remember I made the analogy of putting the puzzle pieces together to get the picture. And I'm saying that the puzzle pieces that make up the image or the picture is probably missing one puzzle piece. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does the analogy make sense? The puzzle pieces that I am putting together prophetically wise is missing one piece, maybe two. But it looks like it's missing one piece. And so, when I was on Sister E show yesterday, I had one joker come on there and he said, Jacoba's looking for 100% glory. That's what he said, 100% glory. Now, I had to tell him something, right? I couldn't let that slide. With all of the abuse I've taken from the Israelite community, the abuse I've taken from the Gentile community, because of my positions that I took, prophetically speaking and teaching wise, I'm in it for the glory for myself. Really? All the while I have been sick for years. struggling through some shows that I could barely make it through because I was so sick and I want 100% glory. What kind of glory am I seeking? That's what I want to know. Somebody make it make sense to me. I told him if I wanted glory, I'll show you my face. I'd open a church. I'll take your tithes and your offerings and I'll live like Creflo. I'm just saying, I ain't jumping on Creflo. There's not a Creflo bashing. I'm just saying a rich, successful preacher. But see, for me, it's about my Father. I love my Father. I love the Most High, and I love my people. And I don't want to see my people persecuted anymore. I don't want to see my people under oppression anymore. I don't want to see my people gaslighted anymore. I don't want them lied to. I don't want them to be given half truths. I don't want them to have half truths. And see, so sometimes when I'm fighting for my position, some of you all may take it as arrogance. No, I'm taking it, or I'm pursuing truth and accuracy and interpretation. You see what I'm saying? I'm pursuing accuracy and interpretation because this is a what? Truth ministry. As I mentioned before, for me, I fear the Most High. Y'all don't understand. I fear the Most High. I understand who he is somewhat. Ain't nobody gonna fully understand him. But I'm not in the illusion or the delusion that I can do whatever I want and say whatever I want and pursue a Yakoba agenda. No, I can't do that. I'm not going to stand before him and be judged because I want to do my own thing. I'm not going to do that. So, you know, when I teach a flea doctrine, that's what they call it. I'm not teaching it to tell you to do anything. I'm teaching it because I am going for truth. I'm pursuing truth. That's why I teach it. Now, you don't have to agree with the flea doctrine. It's in the Bible. You don't have to agree that we might have to suffer a little bit in the wilderness, but it's in the Bible. It's called trials. It's called tribulation. And it's called test. But see, the difference between me and a lot of people, I don't ignore scripture. I take the scriptures for what it says. And I try to be balanced with it. And if one part of the scripture don't make sense and sort of contradicts another one, maybe my understanding is incorrect. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to see what is wrong here. Why does this say this here and that says that, and how come it, you know, what is really, maybe I don't fully get it, right? So let me try to understand. And guess what? Sometimes that takes time. Sometimes it takes time for revelation. But I'm not going to ignore scripture, and I'm not going to put scripture aside. So I went to say all of that because what I'm going to share is, in my opinion, the culmination of things and everything you would expect prophetically wise, things I may have been talking about and teaching, things Minister Dante may have been talking and teaching, and other prophetic ministries that have been talking and teaching for years now. And it's the accumulation of things. And so some people don't like what I say because guess what? Babylon's going to be judged. And the further out that judgment, the more I can benefit from her delicacies. The further out the judgment of Babylon, the more I can keep my house and my car and my electricity and my highways and my electric cars and my food, all of which is poison. But I the longer I can put my head in the sand and not believe that America is about to be destroyed, the longer I can hope that I can enjoy the luscious benefits of the Babylonian system, while she still kills us and murders us and put us in jail and poison us and do all these things. I can still enjoy it. But prophetically wise, I just don't see how much time. So my brother and I, we have conversations, of course, obviously behind the scenes. And so we talk about some of these things. And we both agree, because we don't agree all the time. You know, I know some of y'all think my brother and I agree 100%. No, maybe 98%. But we both agree on one thing. If the Most High don't come soon, we're done. Literally. If the Most High doesn't come and deliver us soon, we're done. This is the conversation. So I'm sharing with you all behind the scenes conversations we have. You don't have to agree with it. This is the conclusion that we've come to with our conversations behind the scenes.
So you're saying that you trust teachers with guns, but not with picking out the books in their curriculum. You're saying that you trust teachers.
This is an amazing video. And Justin Jones' takedown of the Tennessee legislature over book banning is perfect. You probably know Justin. He's part of the Tennessee Three. He has gained national attention for the shit show over the last month. But book banning and curriculum banning by people like Moms for Liberty has been going on here in Tennessee for a while now. And now they want to make it a felony for having certain books that they find objectionable in your classroom. And let's be clear about what kind of books those are, because they would have you believe that they're out here reading some homoerotic 50 Shades of Grey stuff to kindergartners. No, it's teaching 4th and 5th graders the I have a dream speech. The Moms for Liberty want Martin Luther King's I have a dream speech banned. They are trying to ban a book about Ruby Bridges, who, as a 5-year-old, segregated schools in the South. Now, I've not read the Ruby Bridges book. My mother-in-law is a retired elementary school librarian, and she, very conservative woman she is, used to read that book to her kids, and she says it's a great book. She doesn't understand why it's being banned, and she's conservative. Like, I don't understand the concept that you don't think that teachers have the discernment to know what curriculum is appropriate for their students, but you trust them to make literal life and death decisions with a weapon on them. I don't get it. These are the same people that will say that parents need to be more involved in what their children are learning. Then get involved in what your children are learning by having conversations with them about what they're learning. And if something that they are learning maybe doesn't align with your worldview, like equal rights, have that conversation. You can still teach your kids to be a white supremacist at home. Or are you afraid that they will go to school and learn empathy and compassion for people unlike themselves? And then that makes it harder to turn them into white supremacists. But sure, let's give teachers guns. Because we don't trust them with books. But we trust them with guns. The fuck?
So why did I show this video? I showed this video because all of this is about Israel. It's about teaching Black history. It's about teaching what the Gentiles have done to us and to our ancestors, and they want to hide it. It's about critical race theory and wokeness, what they call it, right? And they hate it so much because it's their history, and their history is disgusting. And what they have done and continue to do to us is disgusting. And since we are pointing it out, right, they hate it. So now they have to pass legislation so that they can criminalize you if you read from these books. Why? Because in the future, They want their kids to think everybody came over here as migrants and everybody came and worked for the great American empire, free will. And then they'll say, well, blacks at the low status because they wanted to be and because they're lazy and they never did anything for themselves. But the other thing is, prophetically speaking, this is their judgment. As 2 Ezra 15 says, as they do this day to who? My chosen. All the things they do to us, right? The Most High has taken note and he's coming to judge them. That's what he said. And he said he's going to get us out of here with an outstretched hand, which means he's going to be judging these people at the same time he's bringing us out. Can we say Lot and his wife? Can we say Sodom and Gomorrah? Can we say that we see the same things that are happening today in America? Can we say the pronouns like in Sodom and Gomorrah is happening here? Can we say the captives of Israel who have awakened or going back to the continent? All of these things that we see today are not coincidences, though some of you all want to make it that way. And some of our people have been called to go back to the continent, but the Most High ain't talked to me. He ain't tell me go. Well, he didn't tell you to go then. He told them to go. The Most High told Abraham to leave. He didn't tell everybody else to go with him. Abraham went and got Lot and said, look, you want to roll with me? I'm out. He didn't have to go, did he? Because the Most High spoke to Abraham. So Abraham said, look, God told me go. You want to roll with me? Some of them on the continent said, God told me to go. Y'all want to roll with me? Some of y'all say, nah, I ain't going to roll with you because he ain't speak to me, which is cool. But see, this is one of the puzzle pieces that is in the picture, prophetically speaking. This is one of the puzzle pieces that you're going to see paint the picture of Jeremiah 50 and 51. This is one of the puzzle pieces. So what we don't understand is that what we're dealing with today is warfare. We're dealing with warfare, and it's not the typical warfare that you've been looking for. It's not. See, y'all was ready for the guns and the shooting and where it's clear and plain as day that we're in the midst of a war. No. What do you think them passing legislation to put people in jail who teach from Martin Luther King's book or Ruby's book? And that's warfare. What do you think them passing laws where in Mississippi, you know, they call it the Jim Crow law? It's warfare. Who are they warring against? Black folks. We know to be Israel. Yes, it's asymmetrical warfare. Exactly. It's asymmetrical warfare, which makes it hard for the average person not to see. We are literally in the midst of a hot war. It is hot. You just don't see no bullets. But when they pass those laws, some of y'all gonna go to jail. Or some of us gonna go to jail. Because I ain't following some of it. I'm not gonna do anything just because you pass it. But this is warfare. There's social level warfare. There's economic warfare. And then there's political warfare, which is, you know, the Russia-Ukraine situation. But my thing is, with all of these things happening right now, how much time do we have, really? How many more pieces of the puzzle do we need to put into the picture, because I can make out the picture now. I can make out the picture. You can't see the picture. That picture looks like Exodus. You know what I'm saying? That picture looked like a bunch of people exiting. Why? Because they ain't gonna survive if they stay here. See, you see what I'm saying? How can we survive? They're passing the Jim Crow laws in Mississippi, Tennessee trying to pass laws where you got certain books, you're going to jail. Who are they targeting? And if they're targeting us, as is obvious, how much time can it be? And so at the same time of all of this stuff that's happening in Babylon, we have this economic warfare.
Dollar is facing a revolt. The world knows it as the king of currencies, but the dominance of the dollar is now under threat. Brazil and China are ditching the dollar. Now they will deal in their native currencies. China will use the yuan, and Brazil will use the Brazilian reais. The Indian rupee is also competing in this race. Banks in 18 countries have shown interest. They've opened special accounts, and these accounts will help them settle trade payments in the Indian rupee. Brazil and Argentina floated an idea. They're thinking about a common currency for South America. Halfway across the world, Southeast Asia too is losing patience with the US dollar. In Africa, countries like Kenya are dumping the dollar. They'll use the Kenyan shilling for oil imports. The world economy is hooked to the dollar, but now it wants to give up this addiction, but it'll not happen overnight. The dollar's downfall, though, has begun.
So she says it's not going to happen overnight. Personally, you know, as my discussion, you know, on Sister E channel, I do believe it can happen overnight. I really do. I think everything's in place for the new economic system and the new currency. And we know for a fact that the Fed now is coming into being in July, which means that the dollar is going to be less valuable. So what we see happening here is an economic warfare. It is what they call third world nations, along with China and Russia, against the West, the colonial Western powers. In a sense, you can consider this a hot war, but it's not like World War II, right? So understand this, that there is a warfare and the nations have taken a side. And all of this lines up prophetically speaking, right? And we talk about the 10 nations, and we talk about the 10 gonna hate the whore and burn her with fire. She's going to be betrayed by her allies. We see all of that. France are aligning themselves somewhat with China, but yet they still a part of NATO. I'm just saying, how can the current order continue the way it is? It can't. I mean, literally, it can't, because nations are no longer accepting the dollar, right? They're going into their own currencies. They're going to gold. They're making new alliances.
The Central Bank of Ghana is now reducing its US dollar supply to bulk oil distribution companies operating in the country's oil and gas sector in order to manage the country's foreign exchange reserve, which is going to save the country more than 80 million US dollars in this second quarter of this year, 2023. So in today's video, we would like to share with you how and why the government of Ghana is now reducing US dollar supply to bulk oil distribution companies operating in the country. But before we start everything, please don't forget to like this video and also subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thank you very much for your liking. Now let's dive into it. In this world, oil is very important to every country because it is an essential energy source for making many activities such as transportation, industry, and electricity production. So it is very efficient, cost-effective, and abundant energy source. For this reason, oil has become a key component of the global economy and an important factor in global politics. Some countries are blessed with this oil, while some are not. So countries without oil buy it from international oil traders or oil producing countries. But payment of these oil transactions are always in US dollar or reserve currency. And that is not too good for many countries, because countries without oil must always exchange their local currency for US dollar to be able to purchase oil in order to keep their economies running. Meaning central banks of non-oil producing countries must always have enough US dollar for the purchasing of oil and other imports. So since the start of 2022, the cedi has been declining more than 55%, and this is highly affecting imports by making imports very much expensive, because the central bank always have to exchange more cedi for US dollar just to be able to import oil and other commodities to keep the country running. In fact, according to the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia, bulk oil distribution companies in Ghana were pricing oil at 19 cedis to $1, whilst the dollar was selling at 12 cedis to $1, because the cedi wasn't stable and the oil traders were afraid of losing their money in case the cedi continues to lose its value against the US dollar. At that time, Ghanaians were paying more than they were supposed to pay.
Today, our fuel prices are being priced at an exchange rate, a forward exchange rate of 19 cedis to the US dollar. Today, what we are paying at the pump is being priced at 19 cedis to the US dollar.
So the Ghana Economic Management team began looking for a solution to this worrying situation. And the solution they came up with was something called the Good for Oil policy. This policy is simply a bartering system in which gold from Ghana's reserve is exchanged for crude oil from producers. This policy enables Ghana's government to avoid purchasing crude oil with foreign currency.
But to address this fundamental challenge that we all face of the persistent depreciation and its impact on fuel, in utility prices, food, and so on, government has opted to implement a policy of using our gold to buy oil.
So they're going to use their gold to buy oil. Now, America is a oil-based economy. And because America is an oil-based economy, and they had this alliance with Saudi Arabia, right? So they call it the petrodollar, which means that the dollar was pegged to oil. That's no longer going to be the case. See, as you see right here, everyone's either going to their own internal currency, trading with their own local currency, or they're trading with gold, or they're forming other relationships minus the dollar. And so with the fact that all of these nations, and look, what they call third world nations, they're trading at, billions of dollars as well. But you get all of these BRICS nations and everyone in the alliance of BRICS against the West. The dollar can do nothing but fall. So even when we go to the new economic system, CBDCs, the most you're probably going to get from that, right? And we sort of talked about this, that at least when it's time to convert from dollars to the digital currency, you probably get 50 cents on a dollar if you're lucky, or less, right? But they're going to force you over to the new system. We're going to talk about that. They're going to force you into it. Some of y'all going to try to hold out, but they're going to force you into the new system, obviously. So America is going to have less dollars in circulation internationally, which means less influence, which means your dollar will not go as far. So for those people living in other nations, you might want to try to denominate your dollar while it's strong in some other asset, whether it be gold, silver, land, whatever, because things are changing. And so right now, as I stated, we are in the midst of a war. And the war, the methods of fighting right now is economic. It's also social. But like you see on the social level, a lot of those laws that's being passed is against the Israelites, us, the Negroes. But on the international scene, nations are going with the new system that's being created by the 10 horns. And I believe BRICS is 1 foot of the 10 horns. So Ghana's going to be trading gold for oil, not dollars for oil, gold for oil, which means there's less dollars that's going to be in circulation internationally, which means that the demand for dollars are going to be less, which means that the power of the dollar to purchase things are going to be less, which means you're not going to have the same standard of living that you have now. Because this is warfare. And see how people don't understand what this new form of warfare is, because it doesn't make sense, because it is asymmetrical.
Saudi Arabia and China's ties seem to be getting stronger, whilst the relationship with the U.S. continues to loosen, as Saudi Arabia's cabinet recently approved the decision to join the China-led Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO. This could be a signal that Riyadh, with all its energy reserves, is choosing sides in the Ukraine war. Saudi Arabia, in part stung by U.S. President Joe Biden's refusal to deal with the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, is moving closer to Russia and China, particularly since the Chinese brokered a rapprochement between the kingdom and Iran. The SCO began its life in 1996 as the Shanghai Five, made up of People's Republic of China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, and Tajikistan. In 2001, it admitted additional Central Asian states and renamed itself as the SCO, a military, political, and economic collaboration organization. Since then, most other Central Asian states have joined, plus Mongolia as an observer, and critically, in 2017, Pakistan and India. In 2023, the SCO has nearly 50% of the global population as member states, observers, or partners, and approximately 30% of the global economy in nominal terms, that is pure dollar terms. It represents just over 40% in purchasing power parity, PPP, a term that measures economic power adjusted for the cost of goods in a country or group of countries. To put that in perspective, the G7 represents a much smaller population and only about 27% of the global economy in PPP terms. The SCO already had more economic clout than the G7, and in 2021 held its latest set of combined military exercises. And now resource-rich Saudi Arabia is joining. The SCO holds frequent joint military and counterterrorism exercises, with the next planned later in 2023. It will be interesting to see how Saudi engages militarily. This edging closer to Beijing is particularly significant given that China has recently strengthened its diplomatic credibility by negotiating a rapprochement between Saudi Arabia and Iran.
So here we see that Saudi Arabia is going along with the Chinese SCO, becoming a part of the BRICS nations. Once again, moving away from the U.S., which is what? An oil-based economy. At least their dollars were backed by oil, aka the petrodollar. But some of y'all don't think that the economy is going to fail. Okay, well, Saudi Arabia says, hey, our relationship is over. We want a divorce. We have a new nation we want to hook up with. You're done. But some kind of way, the economy is still going to be American-centered. The profits trade internationally going to be American-centered. When people are abandoning the dollar, trading in their own local currency, trading in gold, and the U.S. petrodollar is no longer a petrodollar because Saudi Arabia was the oil that backed it, because you had to buy oil in dollars. Now you don't have to do that anymore. And now some of them are talking about making the oil-backed currency the yuan. Tell me how America survives. Too many variables happening. There is literally no way that America gets out of this unscathed. And you know who the ones who are going to suffer the most? The ones who are not at the top of the food chain, and that's us. Which is why we have to get out of it. That's why I told you, as my brother and I said, we have to get out of here. The exodus has to be near. Now, am I saying that the exodus is going to happen tomorrow? No, I don't know. I don't know that. All I can do is watch the signs and the signs tell me something big is about to happen. Literally. And it can't go on too much longer. It literally cannot go on too much longer because we have the social system being disrupted, the economic system being disrupted, the political system being disrupted. We're going into a new currency in July, the Fed now. Somebody make it make sense. How can America exist in the standard that she's been used to when the other nations who supplied her resources are cutting her loose? Somebody make it make sense. But there's a huge change in currency, how we trade, who's leading the global order. There's a physical war going on between the US and Russia, even though it's indirect, it's proxy. I'm just letting you see what I see. That's all. Like I say, eat the meat, spit out the bone. Yeah, I'm not even talking about Sudan today, and that's a huge thing too. We probably need to talk about that one day. What's really going on in Sudan? But with all of these things happening, I don't know if we have weeks. I mean, I was thinking, at least maybe by the, maybe we had to the end of the year. I don't know that. There's too many things happening.
Well, let me bring you up to speed. Folks, today's post is for anybody doubting that central bank digital currencies are definitely a thing and that a cashless future is absolutely imminent. Did you know that Nigeria is basically cashless now and that they have a central bank digital currency?
After a 3-week delay, Nigeria's digital currency is now legal tender.
In October of 2021, the Central Bank of Nigeria announced the e-Naira. Well, after about a year, only 0.5% of Nigerians signed up. Yes, big surprise, most people don't want a central bank digital currency. They limited the amount of cash that people could withdraw from the banks and ATMs to $44 per week. Now, the average Nigerian needs $40 per day to survive.
Long queues at ATMs and banks nationwide, oftentimes in the middle of the night and up to 7 hours long.
Scenes of destruction are evident at different banks. Some have had their windows smashed and ATM pawns damaged.
Still, the tug of war to get cash is a sign that the cashless policy of the CBN is yet to fit into the system.
They banned cash. The government came out in October of 2022 and said that they're no longer accepting the old banknotes. So they said, we're going to give you new banknotes. But then the banks stopped issuing the new ones and people couldn't get the new ones. And then nobody could get any cash anymore. You can't use the old ones and you can't get the new ones.
Cash shortage sparked by the replacement of paper note, a crisis which has left people cashless and has forced businesses to close.
The ATMs are not working. Even when you walk into the bank, they will tell you they are not giving out that money, that they don't have the cash.
The banks are making the new Naira note very difficult for Nigerians to access.
So what happened? A 60% increase in people who are using CBDCs, because guess what? Children were starting to starve. They starved their own people into adopting central bank digital currency. And so this is a case study. This is a cautionary tale. The world leaders are taking notes on this, and we the people need to take notes on this. Only the American people can stop this, because if the central bank digital currency happens there, it's going to happen everywhere, especially here in Canada. Write a letter to your congressman, your representative, keep the pressure up, keep your eye on this, make sure Congress does not approve the move to a central bank digital currency. And if you don't think that a central bank digital currency and a cashless society, just like Nigeria, isn't coming here, then you need to be a little bit more sophisticated in your thinking. Because why would we allow Nigeria, a developing country, to have a more advanced technology and payment system than us? Of course not. We're the first world. We have to be more advanced. We have to have better technology than them. People actually died in the streets. There was rioting. They didn't care. They burned down the banks. They don't want the banks to exist. They want the banks gone now. They don't care about the banks. They don't care about the riots in the streets. They don't care about the kids and the families that are starving, adults who aren't even eating food.
Guess I need to stop that before YouTube hit me for copyright. But here's the thing. How do we continue with what we'll see happening? Because Nigeria Nigeria pretty much forced them into it. You either come into the digital currency system, the new system, or you're going to starve. You either come into the new system or you're going to starve. You're going to come into the new system. And notice, if you've been following this, I mean, you know, Nigeria went into the digital currency overnight. It didn't take weeks and years and months for Nigeria to move into the new digital currency system. It happened overnight. Don't think that is not going to do the same here. Why? Because we already have the infrastructure. We already have the blockchain. We already have crypto. Everything is already there. All they have to do is pass a law. And look, even if they don't pass a law, if the Federal Reserve say tomorrow and Congress didn't approve it, they could still do it. Because if the dollar becomes worthless, Congress don't even have to approve it. People are going to say, look, I'm moving over to digital currency. Some going to move to crypto, some will move to CBDCs. But the goal is to move you to CBDCs, so that's what they're going to do. I'm just saying, there's no time left. There's no wiggle room. We don't have years. We might have days. But what we're dealing with here is economic warfare unlike the world has ever seen. That's what we're literally dealing with. And not only are we dealing with an economic warfare, we're dealing with real war as well, a global war. So you got a cultural war or a social war happening. Jim Crow, Tennessee banning books. You got an economic warfare happening. All of this stuff happening at the same time. Now mind you, it's just not all separate. And so now we got this proxy war in Sudan. We got Russia and Ukraine and NATO. All the pieces of the puzzle to build the image of the Exodus and what's supposed to happen and how the Most High is going to judge these nations is here. I'm like, what is left? What is left but the Exodus? What is left but the Exodus and the boots on the ground in Babylon? What is left but the boots on the ground in Babylon and the Exodus? I don't see much left. Now, I know some of y'all gonna say, you Cobras fear-mongering again. No, I'm telling you what I see. Remember, these are my own beliefs, the expressions of my belief. Eat the meat, spit out the bone.
With this much desire, together we'll win. Say the parade and call the sun, say the city. Don't let them.
Let me skip ahead a little bit here.
They found out, and you find peace. So it's not Ukraine in Europe. News networks aren't exactly talking about it. Africa, my Africa, when would you find peace? So much is presently going on in Sudan. Apparently, Russia is building a military base there, and the US of A found out, and all hell broke loose. The problem isn't Africa, the problem is the unending interference from outside parties, and as an African, I am sick and tired. There is a saying in Nigeria that when the elephants fight, it's the grass that suffer, and that's exactly what's happening in Sudan. The two big names, Russia and the USA, are presently going at it, but who's suffering in all of this is the people of Sudan.
Here is why you should care about the fighting that is going on in Sudan. What's happening there is more than meets the eye, and it's time for the world to discuss the actual truth of what is going on there. America and Russia are at it again, just as they did 60 years ago during the Cold War, when they fought proxy wars right in Africa, leading to the death of thousands of innocent Africans. They are at it again in Sudan, fighting a proxy war. Let me explain. Two factions of the Sudanese military are fighting each other. One of them is led by Lieutenant General Mohammed Hamdan, head of the paramilitary group known as Rapid Support Forces. The other faction is led by the Sudanese Army Chief, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. So why are they fighting? This is where Russia and USA come into the picture. You see, in the last couple of months, Russia has finalized a deal with Sudan to establish Russia's naval base in Sudan's Red Sea coast. America is not too happy with that. Actually, they're furious. America's ambassador to Sudan, John Godfrey, expressly warned Sudan not to seal that deal with Russia, but they're going ahead and doing just that. And so when the paramilitary unit began fighting the other faction of the army, that wasn't happening in a vacuum. The big problem is that you're not going to hear this in the mainstream media. Neither are you going to hear a lot of African governments voicing this, which is very unfortunate because Africa must learn to speak its truth and stand on this truth, because truth will set you free. So it is left to the African people, we the African people, to speak this truth and tell America and Russia to get off Africa, to get their hands off Africa. The days of the Cold War, the days of the shenanigans of the Cold War are completely over, and they cannot fight proxy wars in Africa at the expense of innocent African lives. That has to stop. The fighting in Sudan must stop. The puppet masters must stop their evil, diabolic games.
All right, so we see that this is a proxy war going on in Sudan. And because, according to him, and I agree that, you know, Sudan wanted to build a Russian military base. The U.S. don't want that because Sudan has a lot of gold and other resources. So what we have here is, you know, two different power groups trying to influence the continent. Now, you have some who say, and you know, that it's a problem for Africans who saying, okay, Russia, 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 we support Russia and not the West. But here's my thing. I guess it depends on your viewpoint. Because if you look at it from a secular viewpoint, from a secular viewpoint, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So a lot of the African nations are looking at this thing from a secular viewpoint, which, so in order to get the colonizers off the continent, they're aligning themselves with Russia. Now, you go from what they're saying, one oppressor to another oppressor. I'm not going to argue that, other than the fact that Russia has helped Africa by giving them military arms to throw off the shackles of the West and their colonization efforts. And so if it wasn't for Russia, Africa would still have them chains on their neck and getting their limbs cut off. So my whole thing is this: the scriptures, and I'm a scripture man, says that the four carpenters are going to come and push out the colonizers. That's Zechariah chapter 1. So to me, I don't have a problem with them looking at Russia as a positive thing. Now, do I think that Africa should handle African business? Yes. Do I think the African Union should unite and kick them all off the continent? Yes. But that's not going to happen. Too many of the leaders of the continent are bought and paid for. So just as we were delivered from captivity when we were in Babylon and Cyrus came and attacked Babylon, it's the same thing for the continent. Same thing that's going to happen here. The same thing that's going to happen here. Babylon's going to be attacked. We're going to leave. The thing on the continent is, according to Zechariah chapter 1, the four carpenters are going to kick out those who enslaved us. So I don't have a problem with Russia and China coming in because I believe they're the four carpenters. I also, since I'm a Bible man, do not believe they're going to have much influence when it all settles. Because according to the scriptures, we're going to become one nation, two sticks come together, and we're going to be very powerful and influential and wealthy. So if you look at it from a political viewpoint, yes, it's just another Gentile. Yes, they want our resources, but who don't? Who does anything for free? What nation on this planet does anything for free? Do you think Russia and China want to help you for free? Do you think China wants to build up the infrastructure of Africa for free? Do you think that Russia wanted to help us throw off the shackles of the colonizers without getting something in return? Come on now. But here's the thing. We don't look at the politics. We look at the scriptures. And the scriptures say that the four carpenters are going to come and kick them out. And we're coming back. That's how I look at it. So I don't care if Russia is involved and if Africa look at it as a positive thing, because guess what? Somebody got to kick the colonizer off the continent, because the Africans ain't going to do it. Africans not going to unite and kick the colonizer off the continent. They don't have the weaponry. They don't have the machinery. They don't have the high tech. But Russia and China does. So here's the thing. This is a global war that's happening at all levels, and it is spiritual at the highest level. I mean, you don't have things like this and it not be spiritual, right? I'm like, all of these things happening all at the same time. All of these things happening which can affect your livelihood. All of these things happening that can affect your food, your children's schooling, your transportation. Oil prices gonna go up the wazoo. You're not going to be able to afford to live in a lifestyle that you've been accustomed to. Don't you see that? You're going to have to leave. The Most High is making it uncomfortable for you here. They're passing laws to put you in jail for teaching or reading from books. They're passing laws to put you in another Jim Crow status, but you're going to stay here and live the same life that you've been living. No, they're taking it away. Don't you see that? They're taking it all away. You Negroes got too much rights, too many rights. What that guy said in the video, because he can't hang us no more, we have too many rights. These people done lost their minds. But their judgment is here, and somebody has to tell them. And somebody has to tell you, be prepared to persevere. Somebody has to tell you, get extra food, get extra water. Somebody has to tell you, think about your economics. These Gentiles getting gold and silver and land. Look, thing is, I'm not buying nothing in Babylon. I'm not putting a dime in Babylon. I'm not buying a house. I ain't buying nothing like that. Only what I need to survive, because it makes no sense. When you see all these things happening and you think you're going to leave here with wealth in the same status of life you had, and they planning 15-minute cities for you and all of this, while Russia and China and the West are already having proxy wars going on? How is it all supposed to continue the way it is? When everybody buys you with US dollars, not anymore. Everybody take cruises with US dollars, not anymore. You're not going to be able to afford it. See, this is what y'all don't understand. It's all of these things. How do you survive with all of this happening? How do you continue with the lifestyle that you're accustomed to with all of these things happening? And not only is Russia at war with the West, now China's about to be at war, or technically is at war with the West and has been. It's just not what we call a hot war yet. Hal Turner, whether or not you like his channel or not, he's a racist, simple and plain, in my opinion. Just my opinion. So Filipinos told, leave Taiwan, return to Philippines. Today, I received an email from a Filipino source who has family working in Taiwan. The Philippines are telling anyone from that country working in Taiwan to leave Taiwan and return home immediately. War is developing. I also got a second email today from another source who told me, hell, I just got a message from a Filipina who works overseas that all citizens of the Philippines who work in Taiwan are being called home. She said it has something to do with the United States. It appears that China is going to reunify Taiwan and may use force to do so. It also appears the U.S. may try to interfere with that, and war between the U.S. and China may result. Here's the thing. Some of you all think it's not going to happen because America is a powerful nation and nobody wants to fight America. Well, China's a powerful nation and a powerful economy as well, and they're not scared anymore. And understand this. I told you all of this is scripted in my opinion. I believe that. But this is warfare that's going to become hot. Now, some people think it's 3 to 4 to 5 to 10 years away that China's going to do this. Here's the thing. Russia's already fighting NATO. NATO has most of their troops over there by Russia. The Americans have brought some of their ships over to Taiwan. So, if you were going to do something, if you know that at some future point you're going to take Taiwan back, do you wait until everything is settled and Russia has their land over there in Ukraine and everything is calm now and there's now a peace treaty that's been signed and so the economy of the world is back to normal? Do you wait for all of that normalcy where you won't have an ally in your fight? Or do you do it while your ally is fighting as well? Because right now, it will be a two-front war. Think about it. You're not going to wait a year to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 because politics change. If you want to take Taiwan, what's a better time to do it? That's all I'm saying. I told you I ain't no prophet. I'm just using common sense. I don't know who gonna win. Well, I sort of do from the scriptures, but y'all know my position. But it's too much. It's too much. And so I'm gonna go to scripture right here. So we can sort of look at what's going on. And we read this before, but it becomes more important. This is the word of Yahuwah spoke through Jeremiah the prophet concerning Babylon and the land of the Babylonians. Announce and proclaim among the nations, lift up a banner, proclaim it, keep nothing back, but say Babylon will be captured. If y'all still don't believe America is Babylon, please just turn off this stream. Just turn it off. Bel will be put to shame, Marduk filled with terror. Her images will be put to shame, and her idols filled with terror. What are the idols of America today? It's these actors and actresses and all these things, right? That's why idols can be filled with terror, because they're humans. A nation from the north will attack her and lay waste her land. No one will live in it. Both people and animals will flee away in those days. At that time, declares Yahuwah, the people of Israel and the people of Judah together will go in tears to seek Yahuwah their Elohim. They will ask the way to Zion and turn their faces toward it. They will come and bind themselves to Yahuwah in an everlasting covenant that will not be forgotten. My people have been what? Lost sheep. Their shepherds have led them astray and caused them to roam on the mountains. That's the nations, right? They wandered over mountain and hill and forgot their own resting place. Whoever found them devoured them. Their enemies said, we are not guilty, for they sinned against Yahuwah, their verdant pasture. The Lord, the hope of their ancestors, flee out of Babylon. I know y'all don't want to hear that. Flee out of Babylon, leave the land of the Babylonians, and be like the goats that lead the flock. For I will stir up and bring against Babylon an alliance of great nations from the land of the north. So who's coming against Babylon? An alliance of nations. Everything is in place. I'm telling you, everything is in place. The picture puzzle is missing one piece, no more than two pieces, but you can see the image. They will take up their positions against her, and from the north she will be captured. From the north she will be captured. Their arrows will be like skilled warriors who do not return empty-handed. So Babylon will be plundered. All who plunder her will have their fill, declares Yahuwah. Because you rejoice and are glad, you who what? Pillage my inheritance. Who pillaged his inheritance? Because you frolic like a heifer threshing grain and nigh like stallions, your mother will be greatly ashamed. She who gave birth to you will be disgraced. She will be the least of the nations, a wilderness, a dry land, a desert. Because of Yahuwah's anger, she will not be inhabited, but will be completely desolate. All who pass Babylon will be appalled. They will scoff because of her wounds. Take up your positions around Babylon, all you who draw the bow. So America's going to be surrounded. America's already being surrounded. Y'all just don't know it yet. Shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she has sinned against Yahuwah. Shout against her on every side. She surrenders. Her towers fall. Her walls are torn down. Since this is the vengeance of Yahuwah, take vengeance on her. Do to her as she has done to others. I told you, Gentiles, the Most High coming to judge y'all. Oh, but I'm a Christian. I know, that's what you tell me. Cut off from Babylon the sower and the reaper with his sickle at harvest. Because of the sword of the oppressor, let everyone return to their own people. Let everyone flee to their own land. So when all this stuff happens, right, what do you think them Gentiles going to do? What do you think them right-wing Christians going to do? What do you think them Republicans going to do? Because of the sword of the oppressor, they're going to oppress you. And people going to be like, I'm out. These people crazy. They're passing new Jim Crow laws. Israel is a scattered flock that lions have chased away. The first to devour them was the king of Assyria. The last to crush their bones was Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Therefore, this is what Yahuwah Almighty, the king, the God of Israel, says. I will punish the king of Babylon and his land as I punished the king of Assyria, but I will bring Israel back to their own pasture. And they will graze on Carmel and Bashan. Their appetite will be satisfied on the hills of Ephraim and Gilead. In those days, at that time, declares Yahuwah, search will be made for Israel's guilt, but there will be none, and for the sins of Judah, but none will be found. For I will forgive the remnant I spare. There's a remnant that's spared. That means it's not everybody. There's a remnant. Attack the land of Merathaim and those who live in Pekah. Pursue, kill, completely destroy them, declares Yahuwah. Do everything I have commanded you. The noise of battle is in the land. The noise of great destruction. Pay close attention here. The noise of battle is what in the land? What land? Babylon. So there's going to be troops on the ground. Because there's noise of battle in the land, the noise of great destruction. How broken and shattered is the hammer of the whole earth. See, we know we're not talking about ancient Babylon. Because this Babylon has influence over the whole earth. Why? Because she rides the beast. She controls the beast. Revelation 18. How desolate is Babylon among the nations? I set a trap for you, Babylon, and you were caught before you knew it. You were caught before you knew it. You were found and captured because you opposed Yahuwah. The Lord has opened his arsenal and brought out the weapons of his wrath, for sovereign is Yahuwah has work to do in the land of the Babylonians. Come against her from afar, break open her granaries, pile her up like heaps of grain, completely destroy her and leave her no remnant. Kill all her young bulls, that's young people or young men. Let them go down to the slaughter. Woe to them, for their day has come, the time for them to be punished. Listen to the fugitives. Listen to the fugitives. Listen to the people leaving. Listen to the fugitives and refugees from Babylon declaring in Zion how Yahuwah our Elohim has taken vengeance for his temple. That's his people. Summon archers against Babylon, all those who draw the bow, and camp what? Around her. Let no one escape. Repay her for her deeds. Do to her as she has done, for she has defied Yahuwah, the Holy One of Israel. Therefore, her young men will fall in the streets. All her soldiers will be silenced in that day, declares Yahuwah. All them Gentiles getting paid. They're getting paid for what they've done and what their ancestors done. I know they don't hear me. That's fine, because I'm not here to talk to them today. See, I'm against you, you arrogant one, declares Yahuwah, the Lord Almighty, for your day has come, the time for you to be punished. The arrogant one will stumble and fall, and no one will help her up. I will kindle a fire in her towns that will consume all who are around her. So who's kindling fires in her town? Is this not happening? Did you see the plants that were on fire? The trains being derailed? But y'all say we got a lot more time left, some of y'all. This is what Yahuwah says. The people of Israel, what? Are oppressed. And the people of Judah as well. All their captors hold them fast, refusing to let them go. Yet their Redeemer is strong. The Lord Almighty is his name. He will vigorously defend their cause so that he may bring rest to their land, but unrest to those who live in Babylon. So he's bringing unrest to those who live in Babylon. A sword against the Babylonians, declares Yahuwah, against those who live in Babylon and against her officials and wise men. A sword against her false prophets, they will become fools. A sword against her warriors, they will be filled with terror. A sword against her horses and chariots and all foreigners in her ranks, they will become weaklings. A sword against her treasures, they will be plundered. A drought on her waters, which we have those too, they will dry up, for it is a land of idols, idols that will go mad with terror. So desert creatures and hyenas will live there, and there the owl will dwell. I will never again be inhabited or lived in from generation to generation, as I overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, along with their neighboring towns, declares Yahuwah. So no one will live there, no people will dwell in it. So the Most High says he's going to overthrow Babylon like Sodom and Gomorrah. What did Lot and his wife do? They fled. Look, an army is coming from the north. A great nation and many kings are being stirred up from the end of the earth. They are armed with bows and spears. They are cruel and without mercy. They sound like the roaring sea. As they ride on their horses, they come like men in battle formation to what? Attack you, daughter of Babylon. The king of Babylon has heard reports about them, and his hands hang limp. Anguish has gripped them, pain like that of a woman in labor. Like a lion coming up from Jordan's thickets to a rich pasture land, I will chase Babylon from its land in an instant. Who is the chosen one I will appoint for this? Who is like me and who can challenge me? And what shepherd can stand against me? Therefore, hear what Yahuwah has planned against Babylon, what he has purposed against the land of the Babylonians. The young of the flock will be dragged away. Their pasture will be appalled at their fate. At the sound of Babylon's capture, the earth will tremble. Its cry will resound, what? Among the nations. See, I will stir up the spirit of a destroyer against Babylon and the people of Leb Kamai. I will send what? Foreigners to Babylon. I will do what? I will send foreigners to Babylon. I will do what? I will send foreigners to Babylon to do what? To winnow her and devastate her land. They will oppose her on every side in the day of disaster. So I will send foreigners to Babylon to winnow her, which is to scatter, and to devastate her land. I will blow up her factories. I will cause her trains to derail. Let not the archer string his bow, nor let him put on his armor. Do not spare her young men, completely destroy her army. They will fall down slain in Babylon, fatally wounded in her streets. For Israel and Judah have not been forsaken by Yahuwah, their Elohim, though their land is full of guilt before Yahuwah. Flee from Babylon, run for your lives. Do not be destroyed because of her sins. Why? Because she's being judged like Sodom and Gomorrah. It is time for the Lord's vengeance. He will repay her for what she deserves. Babylon was a gold cup in the Lord's hands. She made the whole earth drunk. The nations drank her wine. Therefore, they have now gone mad. They're mad. These people mad. Are they not crazy? These Gentiles have lost their ever-loving mind. Babylon will suddenly fall and be broken. Well over her. Get balm for her pain. Perhaps she can be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but cannot be healed. Let us leave her and each go to our own land. For her judgment reaches to the skies. It rises as high as the heavens. The Lord has vindicated us. Come, let us tell in Zion what Yahuwah has done. Sharpen the arrows, take up the shields. The Lord has stirred up the king of the Medes because his purpose is to destroy Babylon. Yahuwah will take vengeance for his temple. Lift up a banner against the walls of Babylon. Now I'm going to skip down and I'm going to end it right here. Verse 14. The Lord Almighty has sworn by himself, I will surely fill you what? With troops. I will what? Fill you with troops. What? I will fill you with what? Troops. I will what? I will fill you with troops as with a swarm of locusts, and they will shout in triumph over you. So the Most High says he will fill them with troops. What I say about those puzzle pieces? Not many puzzle pieces left to fill in the picture. Military-age Chinese males headed to the United States illegally. Muckraker has obtained footage from the Darien Gap, Panama, of hundreds of military-age Chinese males headed to the United States illegally. What did Jeremiah 51 say? 14. I will fill you with troops. The following videos were filmed at San Vicente migrant camp in Panama. These migrants from China flew into South America and trekked through the lawless Darien Gap jungle into Panama. From San Vicente, the migrants board buses across the country to the border of Costa Rica. From there, they take buses across Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Guatemala. Once in Mexico, the migrants ride the train of death, aka La Bestia, across Mexico to the United States border. One of the Chinese migrants whom we kept in contact with was in southern Mexico less than a week after arriving in Panama. Count the number of military-age Chinese men in this video and reply with the number. This video was taken at San Vicente migrant camp today at around noon. This is a line of Chinese migrants lining up to catch the next buses to the Costa Rican border, in everyday occurrence.
China? China? Hello? You go China? Hello, China? Yeah? Hello? Hello, China. Yes. China. America.
Yeah.
Okay. China. America. California. New York.
Oh no, no English.
No English. Peace. China. Yeah.
So why all of these Chinese in migrant camps coming to America, but hashtag ain't no 400-year prophecy? But y'all think we got a lot of time left. I'm like, how long do you think these Chinese gonna sit here? For years? For a decade? 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5? All military age, very few kids, very few women. There's some. Why is there so many Chinese coming in through Panama? For what? For what? The Most High said he gonna fill them with troops. Reporter says they filmed hundreds of military-age Chinese men heading towards U.S. and migrant groups.
Get ready for the new 5 amp hour DeWalt.
Okay, let's mute that right quick. It's a long commercial.
Available.
New video taken on the ground along Central America's Darien Gap shows hundreds of military-aged Chinese men headed toward the U.S. Anthony Rubin owns muckraker.com, took that video and joins me now. Anthony, thanks for being here. Why are they coming? Are they seeking this? No problem. Why are they coming? Are they seeking asylum or something potentially more nefarious?
I mean, listen, I'm not here to speculate. I'm going to let your audience watch the video and you guys can come to your own conclusion. I don't really want to get into all that, but the video speaks for itself. I think I put up two of, showing the line of these military-age males that are lining up to get on these buses to come up here. That's happening every day, multiple times a day down there. So again, I'm not going to speculate. If you have a more specific question, we can get into that. It certainly doesn't look good. I'll tell you that much. Certainly doesn't look good.
Just from a geography perspective, I'll press you on that. If they wanted to come to America, which is here, from China, which is here, why would they come through Latin America, which is all the way down there, and much more indirect?
Right. So, I mean, this would be for people who can't fly into the U.S. directly. So what they do is they get on a flight and they fly into some South American country. Then from there, they would go to Colombia, they would go across the jungle, pop out in Panama, and then they would head up to the United States. But this is going to be for people that can't fly into the U.S. directly, because you're correct, it wouldn't make sense. You'd rather just fly into the U.S. and overstay your visa. This is for people that don't have that access for whatever reason.
From January to March, there were 2,200 Chinese migrants who crossed the Darien Gap. In the same 3-month span last year, only 71 Chinese migrants were recorded crossing the gap. Why do you, in your individual capacity, fear these individuals, or do you fear these individuals are going to do something?
Well, let's put it this way. I do think that there's people that are in these groups that are probably legitimately trying to get over here that are good people. I mean, that's for sure. But here's what you have to keep in mind, right? The Communist Chinese Party, that's a very powerful group abroad. When you see these videos, you see that these people do not want their face on camera. Now, for me, there's two possible scenarios there, right? Either number one, they are foreign actors that are coming over here for nefarious reasons, right? Number two, these are people that are afraid of some sort of retribution by the Communist Chinese Party. Now, obviously, if it's number one, that's a big problem. We don't even have to get into that. That's obvious why that's an issue, right? If it's number two, well, then what does that mean? That means that these people are going to be beholden to the Communist Chinese Party once they're in here. Oh, you're in the United States. Okay, well, we're going to threaten your friends and family back home in China unless you do X, Y, and Z. You see what I'm saying? So either way, it's still a Trojan horse. So that's the way I see it. So either way, it's very dangerous. I mean, you can't allow this to just continue and have all these people pouring across the border.
So somebody's financing this migration effort. Like I said, all of the puzzle pieces are in place, except for two pieces. But y'all say we got months and years and nothing's going to happen. Put our heads in the sand. But shout out to Brother Doug Rice for the video he posted, because all of the stuff that's happening in terms of warfare, we also have the alien agenda all at the same time.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I'd like to thank our panel. You have been terrific. Just, and anyone that wants to jump in and answer this question is, I'm originally from North Dakota. I'm very familiar with Minot. So I have a problem with understanding why anyone would go to Minot, but I'm sorry, that's not a good thing. I love you, North Dakota. But what if wherever they come from, somebody is in Minot shutting off the missiles? Why? I mean, is that to show us that they can do that? Is that why would you do that?
Can I try that? First of all, the world is facing a crisis right now about nuclear weapons. I don't have to remind you about those possibilities in countries that are trying to acquire nuclear weapons. We have enough, and we've had enough nuclear weapons to destroy every living thing on Earth for a long, long time.
Right.
And it would not take much to start a nuclear war, in my opinion. And that risk is getting worse. So I do believe that, and I think they are extraterrestrial, and this is just my opinion, that they are here to at least point to the fact that we are on the verge of annihilation, of suicide, if you will, our own civilization. And they would like to see us get rid of these weapons. And that's the message I got from my incident. That's my own conclusion.
Okay.
That this was strictly a message. Get rid of your weapons. Get rid of those nuclear weapons. They are not weapons of war, by the way. They're weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
They would never be used in a real war because it would just be a complete suicide for civilization, like I said.
Anyone else want to jump in? Yes. Sergeant Scott?
Yeah, in June of 2001, President Bush came on scene on ABC News, and it was carried throughout the networks and in Popular Mechanics magazine. He had with him a general from the Air Force, and he was announcing that the general was going to be the head of a new military force called the Space Force. And they were going to build this force and also put a military base on the moon. Now, nobody questioned him on why, what was the purpose for that. But then September 11th comes around, the terrorist attack comes. This general is posted as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Space Force never comes about. The question I have still, why did he want to create a new military force for outer space unless there's a threat?
We have one. We have a space. We have a space force. It's in existence. And it's been written about extensively. It's there.
Okay. Good. All right. Some acknowledge it and some don't. But that's your point's well taken, Sergeant. Black Ops is real.
Well,
yeah, I know.
You want me to answer that?
No.
No, I won't.
No. No.
Well,
Let me
I'm
go
not
to
through with my
Oh, I'm sorry.
He jumped in.
Right, I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. Continue. It's your time, Congresswoman.
I'd like to hear from you.
I just said that what he's talking about is black ops. And I don't doubt that. But I'm concerned that they're trying to tell us. I don't quite totally agree with Bob, but I do agree with
That's
him.
okay.
I think they're at least trying to tell us that pay attention. You know, we have the power to do this. Be careful. You know, and one of my, I've got scenarios in my mind I've thought about this an awful lot. And one of my scenarios is perhaps, in fact, they've communicated with the leaders of the world and said, back off from this stuff, or else you're going to annihilate yourself. And maybe that's why we cut back some of our missiles. Yeah. And other scenarios, do these, I'll call them beings, do these entities, are we aware of these entities enough that they can go public instead of saying, you can't handle truth, we can handle the truth? And going public with an innocuous thing like harmless beings that are visiting us just to keep in touch and everything's fine? Or do they consider us a species like we consider apes a species, or dolphins, or perhaps rodents, or perhaps insects? So that sort of thing I don't want to know about. If it's just the fact that they're visiting and they're trying to tell us to watch out for nuclears, they can come forward with that. The government should come forward to let us know, to ease our minds a bit. However, if it's the other scenarios, I just want to come forward and lie to us and tell us the entities are nice beings and they just want to warn us.
So they're pushing the alien agenda. At the same time, we have economic warfare, social warfare, true military, political warfare. Now we have also, at the same time, the alien agenda with climate change, and everything is falling to pieces. But y'all think we got years and months of enjoying what we've had in the past? No. There's literally no way we can continue with everything like this happening all at the same time. And so now they're pushing the alien agenda, as we've discussed in past. If y'all don't know about it, go watch the Ancient World series that I did, or go watch Dante's videos that he did. So we have an agenda to push the alien agenda. They're pushing now the alien agenda, and we have an invasion happening through the southern borders, but hashtag ain't no 400-year prophecy. I'm just saying, everything that has been talked about in the past, everything that has been rumored about aliens and things that the government would not acknowledge in the past, they're acknowledging now, because there's an agenda. And in my opinion, eat the meat, spit out the bones, we are at the crescendo. We are at the focal point of the deception. We're at the focal point of the New World Order. We're at the focal point of the mark of the beast. We're at the focal point of the arrival of the man of sin. We are at the focal point of the 10-nation confederacy. So how are we supposed to, again, continue to live in an oppressive society that's already passing laws to put us back to where we were in the early 1900s? How are we supposed to live again? And they're creating 15-minute cities. But all things remain the same since the fathers fell asleep. We ain't got to deal with nothing. We ain't got to suffer. But yet the greatest deception is happening on many fronts and many levels. Things that we have been talking about for years and years and years. And now is coming to fruition. We will be vindicated. Because everything we've talked about seems to be coming to pass. And so now we have the alien agenda. Is that coincidence? Do you think it's a coincidence that now we have the alien agenda at the time of the creation of a new currency, a new global order? Everything that's been in the rumor mills are coming to pass, but ain't no 400-year prophecy. And some of y'all think we gonna live the way we have been living in Babylon and enjoy our nice steaks and our nice homes and our AC and all this stuff with all of these changes. And they're creating these climate-controlled cities, climate change, can we say 15-minute cities, all at the same time. That's what I'm telling you, there's not much left. We are at the alien agenda. What does that mean, we are at the alien agenda? Might have to refresh this thing.
Strategy that Werner von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in '74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now, at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids, we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie. He didn't mention a timeline, but he said that it was going to be speeding up faster than anybody could possibly imagine. That the effort to put weapons in space was not only based on a lie, but would accelerate past the point of people even understanding it until it was already up there and too late.
So the final card is the alien agenda. The final card, the last card to be played, is the alien card. To bring in the New World Order and to put weapons in space. Now, the question is, who is the weapons in space for? You know who it's for. To stop the arrival of a black Messiah. To stop our deliverance. Oh, you know who it's for. But see, there's war on earth at all levels. At all levels. There's war on earth at all levels. There's war on earth. Let me say it again. At all levels. Why? I told you, soon as you woke up Israel, they didn't went buck crazy. This is warfare against the Most High. This is warfare against our God, our Elohim, to prevent us from leaving. And that's why I said, how can we have more time when all of the pieces there? The only thing missing, and this is, like I said, is my opinion. The only thing missing is the super hot part of the Third World War, which is soon to come, an invasion of this land, which you see is happening now, although indirect, and the Exodus. That's all I see that's left. The hot part of the Third World War and our Exodus. What else is left? We even have the alien agenda here. What else is left? The economy's falling and the new currency coming in. People abandoning the dollar. What else is left? These people don't even want you to bring books out anymore that talks about what they have done to us. They're passing laws to put you in jail, or trying to pass laws that'll put you in jail for reading certain books in class. But they don't mind armoring armoring the teachers with some guns. And then passing these Jim Crow laws in Mississippi. See, my thing is, how can anybody survive with all this happening? And we know who the target is. We see it. It's indirect. And they're in Africa as well, fighting what? For control of the promised land. They're bombing people in Sudan right now. What else is left? What else do you expect other than the Antichrist? That's what y'all waiting for. Y'all know it's going to be ready to go when you see the Antichrist. It's going to be too late when you see the Antichrist. I'm just saying, with all these birth pains and everything that the scriptures talk about, and we can read it in Jeremiah 50:51 and other places, is here. All I see left is the final end of this system, the final end of this country, and our exodus. I don't see nothing else. Now the question remains, how much more time? Is it a year? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? I don't know. But based upon the pace of the way things are happening, I don't think we have long at all. Just my opinion. Like I said, this is just my opinion. I feel like you, Doug. I feel weeks. I could be wrong. But I feel weeks. That's what I'm feeling. That, based upon what I'm seeing. I know y'all should hope I'm wrong. But I'm just saying, based upon what we're seeing, and we know what the scriptures teach, how much time can we have? And some people are going to say, Yacoba's pushing fear. I'm not pushing fear. I'm looking at the signs. I'm looking at the prophecies. And I'm asking myself questions. I'm saying we have warfare at the social level, warfare at the economic level, warfare at the political level. And they're bringing in the new digital currency as well, real in July. Everything is like coming to a crescendo. I'm just saying, how much time do we think we have? I don't see how we continue. And with the destruction of not only the dollar, but the destruction of the economic system that we see right now. How much time do we have? It just don't make no sense that we got another 5-10 years. Now, understand this, that their deadline is 2030. So in order for them to meet their deadline in 2030, everything that they have planned on their planning board has to happen before 2030. So if the deadline is 2030, everything got to be speeded up and heated up before then. And you got to meet your halfway point, which is 2025. I think at the latest it will be 2025. I don't think we had that much time personally. At least I don't think we had that much time till we start feeling more heat and these Gentiles start turning on us and trying to shoot us and all these things, right? I don't think so. But I'm going to say this. When it comes to the prophecies, you can't ignore scriptures. You can't ignore the signs. And those who can read the signs can see what's happening. That's all I'm saying. I ain't telling nobody flee. I ain't telling nobody leave. You do what the Most High tell you to do. As I said myself, I can't go nowhere myself. So don't act like I'm telling you to do anything. All I'm doing is I'm telling you what I see in the scriptures. That's it. That's my job. That's my job, to show you what I see in scriptures. You can eat the meat. You can spit out the bones. You can listen to whoever you want to. I don't care. All I'm saying is this is what I see, period. That's it. These are the expressed opinions of Yakoba, of Tail Ministries. And he's not telling you to do jack. He's just telling you what he sees. And he's asking questions about how can we survive another day, another week, another month, another year, based upon the frequency of events happening and the urgency of events. How can we survive? Maybe y'all don't see what I see. Maybe I'm not clear enough. Maybe the signs aren't clear enough. Maybe the biblical scriptures don't say what they say. Maybe these are not the droids you're looking for. Like I say, I don't have to be right. I'm here to warn you so you can be prepared. And if your life ain't right with the Most High, you best get it right. As many have said, the judgment of the Gentiles is set. It ain't no going back. Ain't no rolling back the clock. I would have healed Babylon, but she's not healed because she's stubborn and she's hateful and she's evil. And she wants to continue doing to us what she has always done. The judgment on the Gentiles is set. You couldn't change it if you wanted to. It is set. So I don't know how much more time we got personally. And like I say, I'm not here to cause no fear. But I know I can see the signs. Now, whether or not you agree the signs I see are biblically accurate, that's on you. And I'm not telling you to do a thing. I told you my job is to teach. That's it. And I ain't looking for no hands out and no claps. I'm looking to hear, well done, our good and faithful servant, coming to my rest. That's what I want here. I want my Father to be happy with me. I want my people to survive. And the only way we're going to survive is to obey his word. We can't do like we used to do, and we got to be different. That's why people don't like us, because we're different. We don't move like they move. We don't agree with what they say. We don't celebrate the holidays they celebrate. We are called out. We are separate. They don't like that. We are a threat to the system. We are a threat to the system. But that's all I got to say, family. If you like what I do, please like the video, share it. You can support us. At Cash App, right there. Thank you, Sister Ruhama. Or you could become a patron. Maybe y'all don't see what I see. That's good. That's cool. Because ignorance is bliss until you're caught in the midst of it. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. Love you with the love of Messiah, and please support the Dry Bones Project.